Guys, what's going on? It is 8 p.m. on the East Coast, Tuesday night. That means it's time for Proper Royals Live. We do this show every week, 8 o'clock, same time, same place here on the channel. And the channel is generally about my family's journey from ball python hobbyists to ball python breeders. But tonight we're going to branch out into the bigger scene of the reptile hobby. And if you haven't caught on, I'm pretty jacked up for the show tonight. We got Ty Park on the show from Iguana Land down in Punta Gorda. Now, Iguana Land Zoo is a relatively new venture that Ty's been working on for some time now, but anybody who's been around reptiles for any amount of time recognizes Ty and his importance to the hobby. So I'm really excited to have him. I'm not going to mess around. I got just a couple very, very quick announcements, and then we're going to get right to Ty. If you got questions that you want to ask Ty, put them in the comments. He and I are going to go through some topics on the show, but I'll take notes throughout and we'll get to some of your questions as well. Make sure you stick around for the show tonight. We got a full-length show, nothing shortened tonight. First and foremost, I want to thank Ty for being here. He's been incredibly gracious to me, even just talking off stage right now for just a moment was wonderful. He's been great to support the channel just by coming on tonight. Fantastic. I got to thank, I never met Anna, but Anna at Iguana Land Zoo was kind enough to put me in touch with Ty and to kind of broker him coming on the show. And I don't know, maybe it would have happened without Anna or not, but she's a great representative of Iguana Land. I got to say thanks to Anna. Big thanks to Jeremy Bod. Sometime back, Jeremy at Bod's Exotic Reptiles said, Adam, you got to get Ty Park on the show. I was like, yeah, maybe that'll happen. And here we are. I'm pumped about that. I can't talk about it. I'm going to leave it to Jeremy to unveil, but me and Ty's world kind of intersected. Jeremy's got a project that he was kind enough to involve both of us on. I'm going to let Jeremy unveil that on his own channel, on his own time. But it's a pretty cool thing, and I did not know that Ty Park would be part of it until earlier this week, so that was kind of cool timing. Jeremy, thank you. As always, you all in the audience, thanks for being here. I'm not great with all the shout-outs and all that, but I do see all your comments, and I'll be keeping an eye on the questions and whatnot for tonight for Ty, so thank you. As always, if you want to do any of the super chat stickers, all that, it goes to straight to the ball pythons so I can feed them and spend more time working on great content and great guests like Ty for you all. Next week, speaking of guests, we got Miguel from Perfectly Engineered Reptiles down in Tampa. He's a breeder on the Florida scene, and I think you'll find that everyday breeder, you got a lot in common with him. I know I did when we met and we really hit it off a couple weeks ago. So Miguel from Perfectly Engineered Reptiles will be on next week. And right up there you see is the Iguana Land logo. If you're ever interested in sponsoring the show and you want your logo up there, feel free to get in touch with me at properroyals@gmail.com. I'll be happy to work out a sponsorship and a promo package for you. Without further ado, the man that needs very little introduction, the man, the legend, and now the current proud operator owner of Iguana Land. Welcome for the first time ever to the Proper Royal stage. Welcome, Ty Park.
Hey,
Ty, how are you tonight?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm excited actually.
So for people that don't know, tell us about Iguana Land first. I know that's your pride and joy. It's where you're sitting right there. You got 150 feet of turtles and tortoises behind you. Mm-hmm. Tell us about Iguana Land Zoo and what's happening there.
Wow. Actually, go back to 2006. Both of my kids left the house in 2006. So I knew second phase of my life would have to do something with reptiles. I've always been passionate about reptile since my dad gave me a reef turtle as a 6-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And since then, I've never been without reptiles, right? I mean, even when I went to the college dorm, I brought my reptile with me. My RA had a fit, but he still let me keep them. I brought my iguana with me right back then. And I even had a large aquarium with lionfish.
Yeah.
And I had a very understanding roommate, obviously. So anyway, in 2006, both of my kids left the house. And in 2007, I was able to convince my wife that I needed my own place to keep all my reptiles instead of just keeping it in the basement of a house that we had in Illinois.
Okay, so you were in Illinois at that point?
Exactly. I was in a place called Inverness, which is a suburb of Chicago.
Okay.
And I was retired by then. So really, growing up, I've always wanted to be a zoo director. That was my dream job. Unfortunately or unfortunately, I realized early in my life that zoo life from the start wasn't for me. I was too impatient. I wasn't gonna, wait, start at the bottom and work myself up. I was just not. I'm just an impatient person,
Yeah,
I wanted to be a zoo director after 5 years of working in the zoo, basically, right?
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to be successful in business, and I was able to retire relatively early, like 40, a little before 40, and I stayed home because I was a workaholic, and it was either ignore my kids or quit working like a maniac. So I decided the kids were more important. So I stayed home. 2006, both of my kids left the house. In 2007, I was able to convince my wife that I needed this place, 12-acre in Florida.
In Florida, from Illinois.
Right, from Illinois. Having said that, I had to make a deal with her because she's not really into animals. So my deal for her was I take all the animals out of the house in Illinois, that I would have nothing in Illinois, and I bring everything down here to 12-acre, and I just have my reptile sanctuary here. So she agreed to that, and I bought this place in 2007 for $650,000. 12-acre. It was old plant nursery that went out of business. So there were some greenhouses, there's some other structures and stuff. So it was really perfect for me. The location was perfect, Southwest Florida. The structure was really perfect. So that intuition at the beginning was right, because I've been here for 15 years now.
15 years now. Why? I mean, I understand the climate part of it, but there's a lot of warm states. Why Florida specifically? Why Punta Gorda? Florida's a big place too. Is it just the right property at the right time?
Actually, before that, I had a small place in Naples, right?
Oh, okay.
But I wasn't really. I was going there maybe once every 3 months or so. So I had a small place in Naples. So it was very close, and I loved Florida.
People that don't know, Naples just across the bay, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like 45 minutes from here.
Yeah.
So, and I just fell in love with Florida by then, and of all the states I could be in, I couldn't think of a better place for me to do this. Other than, obviously, there are some issues recently with the FWC cracking down on invasive species and stuff. But I think it's something that we just have to live with and keep fighting. And eventually, I think, we're going to have to keep resisting it. Obviously, we're not going to lay down and let them do what they want. And
I think we got to talk about that maybe in a whole segment, some of the legalities Florida really seems to be the epicenter, but across the country too.
Exactly. It's become very political. And I think, I think only way we could get around that is change some of the politicians, maybe. More than that, I think we need to change some of the personnel in FWC who are animal activists. They don't want us to have exotics, period. So I think those people have to go. And only way for us to do that is be active politically. And I've started kind of doing that recently. I'm getting more involved with the politics, local politics and stuff like that. And I think one of the things that I'm very comfortable is we're kind of FWC has been really very good to us recently. We did have some infight before. But I haven't sued them in court and stuff. But that's another story. That's that's done. And I could honestly say, my inspectors, the people who come here, they've been behind me from the start, right?
Oh,
and
good.
it's the people who hasn't been here, people from Tallahassee who want to pass this ridiculous law that even some of these inspectors don't want to, pass.
Yeah.
And so that's the issue. I get along with my inspectors great, and they're great people. I can't say anything more than that, obviously, because I don't want to put their, them in a spot. But anyway,
and
I've been
for
here.
The audience that doesn't know, FWC is Florida Wildlife Commission, and to display or sell reptiles in Florida, we have to have. I have a permit, not the same permit that Ty has, of course, but we have to have permits, and those permits, I mean, they include GPS measurements. They include the right to come into the. They can come into my home anytime. I tell them this is where my home is at. So it's regulated, and I think I do it on the up and up in the right way. But obviously, Ty, you have a much bigger focus and a much more scrutiny on you. You have over 2,000 animals there.
Yeah, well, the last thing that we had problem with were the iguanas, right? We had about 600 iguanas here. That included some of the babies we had and the breeders. I was basically the largest iguana breeder in the U.S. Green iguana breeder. And obviously, when I say green iguanas, I'm talking about the morphs, albinos, and stuff like that.
Right.
So I had 600 iguanas, green iguanas, when they passed this law. And I had literally 3 months to get rid of them or build their, work with their ridiculous cage requirement, which happens to be 4 feet tall. Well, first of all, they have to be 2 feet of concrete on the floor. And then the wall has to be 4 feet high. It has to be 8-inch cinder block. It didn't make any sense.
A 2-foot concrete floor for a green iguana.
Right. And plus, as a zoo, I couldn't make a 4-foot high concrete block anyway, because that goes against the ADA, American Disability Act. So you can't build a wall and a display 4 foot high. And have wheelchair people, be blocked from seeing them, kind of thing.
Right,
so, but obviously they passed this law without thinking about people like us. They think, a couple of iguanas at the home, they could easily get rid of them. But I had 600 iguanas, and I had to get rid of them. And I could tell you right now, we have no kill policy here at, Iguana Land.
Yeah,
and I emphasize that.
I read that in the papers, where even on the day that FWC knocks on the door, you said, I'm not killing any of these animals.
Exactly. And we wouldn't have been in violation if we got rid of them, we ethically killed them. But even ethically, I just wasn't going to do it, right? So we were able to get rid of, oh my goodness, majority, except I think we had 70-some animals left. Mm-hmm. And of those, only 36 were the ones that we couldn't actually find home. The rest of them, we already had found a home, and they were going to go to Texas next weekend, right?
Yeah.
So when they came in, and I have to say, I think they targeted me because I was the largest breeder. And I know they targeted me because right after they took and killed my animals, within a day, all the newspaper and TV news stations had a story. So FWC basically gave them the story, and it was, all the TV stations actually contacted me and wanted my opinion, but I couldn't do it because I still had these animals that was at my facility that was going to go to Texas, that they could take those away also.
Okay, so they gave you a grace period on that, yeah.
Right. If they got ticked off on me, and I was afraid that they were going to take the animal that I had, they let me keep for a week, to send to Texas, they could have changed their mind, right?
Yeah.
So I decided just to keep my mouth shut, and 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 one of the TV station actually had and coverage was just so ridiculous. One of them had the photo of Anagata iguana, which is one of the rarest iguana on earth, as green iguana.
Oh.
Right? And talk about Anagata iguana, there's only 12 in the whole USA. And we have 12 of, I mean, I'm sorry, 7 of them here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we could talk about that later. But anyway, so go back to, so that was a mess. And I also got 4 tickets for it. And the thing is, everyone else, including Tom and Sam, when the inspector came, they inspected the cages and animal, and they gave them, everyone, 30 days notice to fix the problem. I was the only one they didn't give me 30 days.
Wow.
And if they gave me 30 days, those 36 animals would have been gone also. Because I would, the problem is you can't give them away in Florida, right? Because that's against the law. So we have to ship them out of the state. They made it more difficult.
Yeah, you're 300 miles from the nearest state border too, in Punta Gorda, at least. And that's just to Georgia.
Right. So we tried our best, and we had 36 at the end, and instead of them giving us another month, like they gave it to everybody else, and I think it had to do with Tallahassee people that I sued before, and they were mad at me, and and they didn't even give me 30 days. They just took my animals, and the thing is, the inspector told me that I had 30 days to fix things, and he was, I didn't say he lied, because that's what for him, that's what he was going to do.
Right.
But Tallahassee told him no, apparently.
Yeah, when the next level up goes, yeah.
Exactly. So they took my animal. They literally just put them in black boxes. It was like 90 degrees. And they put them in the back of a truck, open truck. And we protested. My iguana keeper, I mean, he was crying. He protested that you can't even go 10 minutes without these guys dying of heat stroke.
Right.
And their response was, well, we're not going very far. So, it was a horrific experience. But, it's done. We have, we still have the licenses to operate and stuff. And I think as a legitimate zoo, as we become more legitimate, I think that FW WC would see us as something, a zoo that's doing good instead of doing bad.
Right.
So I already see that part of them now. So I think right now, Iguana Land and FWC, we're in good terms.
Good.
Okay.
How close are you on your? I know that there were certain national zoo certifications that you were working towards. How is that progressing for you?
ZAA is something that I wanted to pursue, but I've been so damn busy. The paperwork has, I'm pretty sure we qualify because the president's been here, of the ZAA, and the secretary has been here at ZAA, and they asked us to do certain things. We already got those things done already. So I think we definitely do qualify for the ZAA certification, but we haven't had a chance to submit the paperwork yet.
Yeah, well, and I know that stuff moves slow. Just to get my FWC license was like a 4-month process. I mean, nothing goes fast. So I understand that. If you were to have that type of certification, would FWC allow you to have the prohibited animals? Would they allow you to have the green iguanas and tegus again, or not?
I think that right now it's not the right time. I don't think.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Maybe it's too soon. Yeah.
Right. I think I'm gonna wait a bit. You know, some of the things that I want to bring in are like things like Komodo dragons. So we need to cross that. You know, we need to get permit from FWC, and so. But we just actually today we just submitted a paperwork for keeping alligator stepping turtle.
Okay.
That needs special permit. Joe Wazlewski is donating one of the if it's not the largest alligator snapping turtle in the nation, it's probably close. It's like 180 pounds.
How old is that animal, you think?
I'm sorry?
How old do you think that animal is?
Oh boy, I think Joe told me 100 because he
Yeah.
didn't know, right?
I mean, he's 180 pounds.
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's old, and so we submitted a permit for that, and hopefully we get that. We have all the keepers a license now under Iguana Land, and so yeah, I'm really happy with what's going on. Obviously, we've been although we've been here since 2007. We've been open to the public since February 22nd of 2022, which is only about 4 months.
Yeah. The champagne just dried.
and I'm thinking we're gonna probably have official grand opening maybe in the fall, maybe in October. And so anyway, yeah, I'm really happy with what's going on. We're still not very well known, but the people who have been coming in, they've been giving us great reviews. I believe we have 4.9 on Facebook and 4.8 on Google from people who visited us. So I think, and the comments that I've been getting from people has been very positive. So it really float me, you know, give me hope that this is gonna do okay. Obviously, we're not breaking even, so I'm still supporting it with my own money. But hopefully, within a year, I'm hoping that we get to a point where we could break even and go back to real my desire for conservation and supporting other reptile causes. So far, we've been lucky enough to give away about $600,000 to conservation work.
Good for you. I knew your goal was $250 a year is your goal, 250,000.
Yeah, that's my goal, but obviously that's not going to happen within the next 2-3 years. I'm talking about the long-term goal. I was always taught that dream big, have big goals, and go for them instead of having small goals that you can reach in a year or two, right?
That's right.
So anyway, 2000. So I've been here since 2007, and I've been doing it quietly. Just breeding animals and selling them, and taking the profit, helping other people, and do some conservation work, and it worked out fine for me. But in 2019, I realized that I felt almost selfish having all these animals here and not being able to share with others, and I want to do more education.
Yeah.
And in order for me to do that, I have to be more open socially. I have to do more Facebook and Instagram, and also open this place to public.
And so it was your total private project, private space for 10 years.
Yeah, more than 10 years, 12 years. Yeah, it's been private for 12 years. In 2019, I decided, okay, you know what? I want to go to the next step, open this to the public, do more education, and open this place for more research. We had a couple of PhD students did their PhD study here.
Okay.
I've been approached by universities and some of the like vet tech schools.
Sure.
Wanting to partner with us, in order for me to do that, I really needed to be more open to the public. So
tell us about like the variety of animals. Or is it 12 acres of animals that you have there of animal facility?
Actually, the whole facility is 12 acres, but I'm only using about 6 or 7 acres
Okay.
with the animals. I still have like 5, 6 acres left that I haven't touched. That eventually I'll do something with it. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I have second, third, fourth phase. I want to keep growing,
Yeah.
and maybe I'll add some glamorous tent on in that area, or I don't know. There are a lot of things that I want to do. But right now we're at a first phase, and I'm thinking that I tell people that I'm about half done, right? Um, so I have a lot more to go. I have a lot more to do. So 2019, I asked my wife for some money, and we agreed to a certain sum. And then COVID hit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was very challenging. So basically, my budget almost tripled, um, because of all the things that happened since then.
Yeah.
So and yeah, I have to tell you, Adam, this has been the most challenging things I've done in the last 3 years. Before this, my life has been a breeze. I've set my mind to it. I usually get it done, but it's been very challenging, and it's been very, very. Some days, I actually felt depressed, which was a feeling I never had before, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, only word that I could say that it has been very challenging last 3 years, um, and I keep going because I know 99% of um, people out there are cheering me on and supporting me,
Yeah.
and that really helps.
I've
And
got to say, for my 2 cents, on the videos I've seen of you showing the property, interacting with guests on Facebook and Instagram, the joy, it's there. I see it, man.
yeah,
It's contagious. I see the pride, and like I say, the joy, and this is you telling us, not me saying it, but you're doing all this work at 68, man. I know this is a
right,
labor of love. This is
right,
fantastic, and I don't understand the challenge of you personally of what you've been through, but I know from being a leader in my business, going through COVID, running a big resort restaurant operation, and having 60 people look at me and say, are we still going to get paid next week? Can I still feed my
right,
family? Will our customers come back?
right.
I get chills talking about it. And a lot of that, this is why I still wear a chef coat with my properroyals logo. I mean, it's 25 years I was running kitchens and leading teams,
Mm-hmm.
and COVID made all. I'm not saying that I'm any worse than anybody else or I had it any harder, but COVID made us stare that down, and I know it would have been just horrific with and that was with me operating with money out of a corporate account, not my own pocket. And so I know it had to have been with you staring at animals, a dream to get them to people, prices going up, work having to be halted, and government employees can't come out and inspect things in the middle of the pandemic. Man, I can only imagine how the overhead went on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm committed to it. I'm still putting money in it, obviously, because we're not breaking even. And I'm not very good at, asking for things.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really bad at that.
Yeah.
So, maybe I've been always a proud person, which, there's always bad and good and bad side of being prideful, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm 68, you're right. I mean, I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep putting money in it, and hopefully one day we'll break even, and I won't have to put more money in it, which will make my wife very happy. But this is for me, this is a gift to the society for me. My my father always told me to break my life into third, and he told me to break the first part of my life, and I'm thinking I'm gonna live to 90, so 1 to 30. He told me to stay very humble and learn as much as you can. All right, the first part of your life, and I'm I failed at sometimes, but I tried to stay with that in my early days. Right, try to stay humble, and I've also learned that since I am a leader and a mentor now, just because I'm older, um, it's very important that you be a great follower before you become a leader. I think some of the greatest leaders were great followers, right?
Yeah.
So I think
And
it's very important the first third of your life, stay humble, work hard, learn as much as you can, be a sponge of knowledge. And then the second part, my dad told me to earn as much as you can, be very productive. And because if you want to do anything, you will need money.
you need the money.
And
It's got to
absolutely,
start there. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep.
If you don't have the money, there's certain things you just can't do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everything's run. Literally, there's so many things you just can't do without money. So, and I think I've done that. So I worked hard. I worked 16 hours every day, and I'm not lying. 7 days a week. You could ask my wife.
What was can I ask what your profession was?
Well, actually, right out of college. Well, here's a story. If my father was still alive, I probably would have been a doctor or medical doctor, because I was a pre-med at freshman year, and that's what as an Asian boy, your dad tell you that's what you're gonna do. That's what we did. Okay,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, my father passed when I was freshman in college of cancer. So in a way, um, um, basically that second year, sophomore year, I decided to change my major to zoology from pre-med. I'm gonna actually take this inside because it's getting a little dark.
Yeah, you got the nice sunset behind you. Look at that. The sun going down over the bay in paradise there.
Yeah. Anyway, so um, um, basically, right out of college, so I changed my major to zoology because I wanted to work with animals. And then I realized that I was pretty good at business. So actually, all through college, 4 years, I worked at a pizzeria, 30 hours a week,
Yeah.
going full time at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, and then working 30 hours on weekend because I love working. So I'm back in here now. So that's what I did, and I fell in love with the business part of it, and I thought I was pretty good at it. So right after I graduated from college, I decided to open up my first pet store.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, as a 21-year-old.
So
Yeah.
you're working weekends in the pizzeria. You graduate college and you say, I'm going to get a pet store going.
Well, because I always wanted a pet store.
Yeah.
And my dream was to become a zoo director, but I was too impatient for that. Anyway, so here I was. I actually had a plan and everything. I drew everything out. All the cages and aquariums and everything. And I asked my mom hey, Mom, I need $40,000 to start my first pet store. Would you give them to me? And basically, my mom said, "You're going to grad school, son." and I already got accepted to grad school already, and she didn't want me to start up a business. She wanted me to go to grad school, and so my mom wasn't gonna give me money, so I didn't have any money, obviously. So I decided to go to the bank and ask for money. Back then, in the 80s, late 70s, 78. Interest rate was 19%.
Yes.
All right. Yep. I don't even remember that or not. You can go back there. Inflation right now, the interest rate right now is nothing compared to back then. Yep. Anyway, I was bold. 21-year-old. Who cares if I fail? I could just go back to grad school.
It's great to be 20 and nothing to lose, right? Like
exactly,
and not have the life experience to build fear into the decision making. I find that with buying ball pythons. People are like, oh, just buy the $10,000 snake. I'm like, I worked my butt off for 10 grand, man. I'm not buying a $10,000 snake.
Yeah, right. But anyway, I went to the bank and I asked him for $40,000 in loan, and the banker was very impressed with my plan. But he said, I need 25% down. All right, so I needed, 20% down, and I needed $8,000 of my money, and they'll give me the rest. And so I was thinking, you know what? And I worked for this guy at the pizzeria for 4 years. His name is Paul Kozarevich. I learned so much from him. He owned this pizzeria for 10 years, and he actually became a millionaire and retired.
Yep.
And I learned a lot about work ethics, and hard work. He taught me a lot, right? So, and the bank is here, right across the street was the pizzeria. So I came down the bank elevator, went right across the street, and asked Paul for money.
Yeah.
So I told him, look, I need $8,000 to start my pet store. And he wrote me a check right there.
Wow. Congratulations.
He said, I totally trust you. Here's $8,000. Pay it back when you want to.
Yeah.
No contract, nothing.
But those are the great relationships where you know that you've put in the personal equity to build it.
So that's how I started. And then I expanded to 3 pet stores, and I bought his Paul's Pizzeria later when he wanted to retire.
Oh, you bought the pizzeria from him?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and then I expanded it to more pizzerias, and bought the campus bar, and got into real estate. So I was kind of like everywhere, really.
Yeah.
And I just worked hard, and it was fun. It was really fun.
It is fun. Yeah. The business, figuring out the numbers of it is fun to me. I enjoyed that in restaurants, and I still consult in restaurants now. I left operations just over a year ago after navigating through COVID. But I tell people if you can make a restaurant work where the margins are so slim, pizzeria's probably got a little bit of a higher margin, especially if you're making your own dough in house. But man, one or two bad weeks, or an injury, or one bad rating. You talked about your Google rating earlier. There's such slim margins and such huge opportunity for trouble in restaurants. I love applying that mindset and those lessons to figuring out the restaurant business, and then go on YouTube on top of it. I'm having a blast right now. It's so great. I'm having fun right now.
And anyway, one of the things that I don't really talk about was I also supplied PetSmart with Reptile. I was the largest supplier of reptiles to PetSmart for 20 years.
When did that start happening? So 78, 79, you're building.
No, that's way after. Let me think here. I think it was, boy, oh boy, I don't want to, 1979. All right. I was, at one point I had 60% of all the PetSmart, and I also had some of the Petco. But obviously, that's not something that I wanted to advertise too much, because they frown on that, right? Because of all the animal activists and PETAs, and they don't want me to be a target.
Yeah.
And so I kept all that pretty under the, for 20 years, more than 20 years, I supplied them. But at the end of the day, and it was a good money. I have to say it was good money. But more and more, I might get in trouble with this. I felt like I was becoming a puppy mill of reptiles. Okay, in order for me to produce some of the stuff that I needed to produce, I don't know. For me, I couldn't do it profitably, ethically. It was so I had to choose between that. So eventually we parted our way because we couldn't. I couldn't see myself keep doing, pumping out animals like that.
Yeah.
That's why I believe in giving all my animals a lot of room. I build cages big. They're all outside, or most of them are outside. Some of them you can't keep them outside, obviously, get too hot. So, yeah, and we left in good terms. And I wish him the best luck because we do need Petco and PetSmart, right? And everybody complains about them, but we do need Petco and PetSmart because that's where a lot of people get their first reptiles.
Yeah,
right?
that's the majority of my strong background in wine. I can't turn my nose up at the people that want to drink white Zinfandel because I think they should be drinking a high-end Bordeaux. No, let them enjoy their Zinfandel. We got to get them into the community. This is where the animals get normalized. This is where, like you say, the kid. I can remember this day, like being dropped off at a mall and beelining it straight to the pet store just so I could look at the crazy fish. I would stand in that pet store. God, I feel bad. I probably never bought anything from that mall pet store. No, I got a gerbil. I made gerbils all of a sudden, not on purpose. Yeah. So we had to do something with the gerbils. So, but yeah, that's where we stand there with the big eyes and the awe, and we go, I want one of those one day. I want that fish. Or I remember, you said you had a lionfish in college. I had an arowana, man. I remember like everybody,
I had a lot of
everybody going. We got to go to Adam's house. He's got this eel-looking fish thing at his house. I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need specialty stores, and we also need Petco and PetSmart. I tell you the truth, I work with them, and the people in the corporate genuinely care about animals. They want to do everything, but they have to rely on people who work a day to day.
Yeah.
And it really, some of the stores are amazing because they have the right people there taking care of the animal. And then some of the other stores, obviously, they drop the ball. It's just depending on the people, right? So anyway, that's basically what I did, and then I retired and stayed home. My daughter went to Northwestern in 2006, and then I sent my son to a private school in Minnesota. And ultimately, he was able to go to Princeton University and majored in molecular biology. Obviously, he's 100 times smarter than his dad. And then he went to University of Southern California for medical school, and he's a trauma surgeon now.
Yeah,
I'm very proud of and he worked hard. And there are certain things that I've let my kids do and not do. And a lot of people keep saying, hey, I want to be, I'm a best friend with my kid. I never felt that I needed to do that. I always told my kids I never be a friend. I always be a dad. All right, because you go out there and make your own friend. You only have one dad, and I'm going to discipline you. If I see something that I don't agree with, you're gonna hear from me. And friends won't do that. All right. So you're always gonna have dad. All right. And then I think they really appreciate that. Some days, they when you're 12, 13, 14, they want to do everything you say no. Like they want to play games. I limited them to 30 minutes on the weekend a week, right? And they better make sure they study and do their chores and stuff. And I was a hard dad. And I even my son even tells me now, as someone older, he's really grateful that I was hard on him.
I was going to say, I mean, that's the goal. I mean, when you said your son's a whole lot smarter than you, that's the goal of every parent, right? Like that's
exactly.
That's what I want to say to my adult son when he's 10 right now. When in 30 years, I want to look at him and go,
all right,
you're smarter than me, son, and look what you've done. This is amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I mean, I made it really hard on my son. I mean, give you an example. I put him in a soccer team, right? Club. And it was bad because I was too selfish. I was workaholic, right? So I wasn't, and he was kind of kid who want to stay home and read book instead of go outside.
Yeah.
And I realized that that's who he was. But at the same time, I knew that he needed to be out and doing boy stuff. So
and part of a team too. That value is huge, knowing how to be a part of a team.
All right, exactly. And so basically, he didn't really start playing soccer until he was 8. And you're talking about most kids start at 4, 5, 6, right, in a club. And he started when he was 8. So he was behind everybody. And matter of fact, only reason why he was able to go on this club team was I had to coach it. Okay, and that was the deal. It was it was a like I say pretty high level actually club, local club, but it was far from really the best. So anyways, I put him in there. I had to coach him, and I was embarrassed. I mean, I would literally play him like 5 minutes in a game. That's it.
And then bench him.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, he was the worst player. But gradually he got better, right? And as soon as he gets to a point where he's at the middle of the team, I move him to a better team.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I moved him right up.
Yeah.
Now he started at the bottom again, right?
Yep.
And he hated that. He hated playing soccer. But I'm probably the only dad because I was retired. And and this is nothing to do with people who can't do this because they have to work hard.
Right.
But I was lucky enough, retired. I went to every one of his practice since I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
Until he was able to play varsity soccer at Princeton, right?
Oh, wow.
He played varsity soccer for 4 years at Princeton. But he was the worst player. And then I would keep moving him. As soon as he got a little better, I kept moving to a better team, right?
Yeah.
And he hated me for it because, and the last thing I did was because he wanted to go to Princeton, and I knew Princeton, Harvard, Yale, you could have perfect score, ACT, SAT, and perfect GPA, and they still won't take you.
Right.
Because there's so many kids like that anyway, right? And I think they accept 4% of applicant. Anyway, so I knew that they needed something else, and I thought it was soccer for my son. And my son always wanted to go to Princeton. That was his dream school. So I wanted to make that happen. So, and then I found out in his sophomore year in high school that the team there's a school called Shaddock St. Mary's that has a soccer program, right? And they have actually full-size indoor soccer stadium in Minnesota for high school, right?
Yeah.
And so I knew, and I found out that the coach at the high school was good friend with Princeton coach. So once I found that out, I sent them up there to play soccer for the last 2 years, junior and senior year, right? And sure enough, that's how he got into Princeton.
Yeah.
In 2006, I sent him up to Minnesota, literally tundra. I mean, they have a tunnel under so you could go from one building to another.
Oh yeah,
without coming out in the wintertime. They had tunnel.
Yeah, that's and even not even tunnels up in the air. They got the buildings connected up top.
Right.
Yeah, my wife's family's from there. Matter of fact, my wife is in Minnesota right now. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yes. So I mean. I was a tough dad, and one of the things that really hit me really hard right here, it made me cry actually. And my son told me one day, he said, "Dad, I could disagree with you, and there's sometimes I do, but I respect you enough to do it." And that really made me, feel like, I done something for him, And to this day, if I ask him to do something, even if he disagree, he does it because he
Yeah.
said history tells me that later on you're always right,
You
and
got
he
some kind
said
of
it
plan.
actually.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm not always right, but
Right.
I've been more right than wrong. So and have that respect from your son. It's very important to me.
Yeah. You know, you said something about when he would get to the middle, you would put him in a harder situation. And I never played organized sports, but I play music. I'm a professional musician as well. And I remember in high school, my dad said, "You're going to try out for the jazz band." I said, "I don't play jazz." He goes, "Yeah, but the best musicians do." And no guitarist wants to be in the jazz band. We want to be playing rock and roll and, getting the girls. And I learned a ton at that. And then when I was a dishwasher, I realized nobody liked to chop the onions, but the person that chopped the onions got paid more. So I said, "Man, teach me how to chop the onion. How do these onions have to go? I'll be the one to slice the onions." And I would do that through my career. Hopefully Ty will rejoin us here in just a second. But I still do that now. And I regret that Ty broke off there, because even this right now is me trying to surround myself with better people that I can learn from. And I love that part of what I get to do. And what this YouTube channel brings. Hey, while Ty is reconnecting, which we're going to hope that he does, let me say thanks to everybody that that has been watching the show tonight. For those of y'all that don't know, Ty is just a legend in the industry. We've been hearing about his story. If you joined in the middle of it, you might be going, "Man, this doesn't sound like a reptile show tonight." But that's Ty Park, and he owns and operates Iguana Land. He just opened that down in Punta Gorda, Florida. He's been incredibly gracious with his time to come on the show for me tonight. While he is reconnecting, I'm going to tell you a story about why it's just super fulfilling for me. And hey, this is Miguel at Perfectly Engineered Reptiles. He's going to be our guest next week. Yeah, you're right, Miguel. Grit is underrated. Where I met Miguel was working for free for Dale, just so I could learn and just so I could surround myself and learn from somebody that was better and more established in the hobby than I am. That's Dale at Constricted Reptiles. So Ty paid me a huge compliment, and I hopefully you can hear, or I'll recap the story for him in a minute when he comes back on. But so I email, booking guests for the show is sometimes just a soulless venture. Like you just reach out to people, you hope that they'll answer you, and you never know what somebody like Ty is going to say. There's been plenty of no's where, for every yes that I get, there's either a flat out no or just no response whatsoever. So I emailed the contact at
How are we doing?
There he
Are
is.
we back?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Ty, I was telling the audience that the idea of putting yourself in situations where there's people better than you. I'm lucky enough that, I'm continuing that even tonight by having you as a guest, but I hope you don't mind. I was going to tell the story that the inadvertent compliment that you gave me and really gave me some validation was when I first contacted you, a lady named Anna replied. Mm-hmm. She says, we appreciate the invite, but frankly, Ty wants to be very selective about where he makes his appearances because of some of the stuff. I'm assuming she didn't say this, but I'm assuming that it's because of, what we were talking about earlier. The bigger your notoriety, the bigger your name, the higher the scrutiny. And so I said, okay, no problem. Here's my page, and have Ty check it out. I'd love to hear his feedback, and in my mind, I'm going, this guy's got Dave Kaufman walking around a zoo, and he's, I'm not going to get the time of day from him. And it was like 3 weeks later, and Ty says, Ty himself emailed me, and he says, okay, yeah, I'll do it. No problem. I said, wow, that's great. He says, but send me some dates. We got to figure out scheduling. I got a whole lot going on and this and that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to, it's going to be the end of the year before I could get Ty on. I said, well, I do Tuesday nights at 8, and I don't book.
Am I back?
Yeah, here he is.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what's going on, but Anyway, you want to talk more about reptiles now or what?
Yeah, no, I was talking about you, how kind you were to me.
I know. I think
said,
we talked about me too much.
okay,
I
well,
think we
but
should talk about reptile.
I got to tell the one very last part of the story. Then we got to talk reptiles. So I said, and Ty had said, yeah, I'll come on the show, but, scheduling's hard. When's this and that? And I said, well, I do every Tuesday. You just kind of let me know. I'll make the schedule work. And he was like, this was like last week. He goes, well, the 28th is what it's going to be. I said, okay. Oh, here we go. And we're on. So thank you very much. It made me feel really good that you were willing to come on the show, and it makes it worthwhile to, to reach out. So you've already done me a huge favor. Let's talk reptiles. Tell us the story of the building where you're sitting right now. Is that the barn where you first enter, and then
yeah,
tell us about this here.
It's basically obviously everything turned off, right?
I got this
light on for shine my face, but yeah, basically these are can you see these are all artificial rock work, and that branch actually is made of cement, and you could see I don't know if you could see the iguana up there or not.
Yeah, I see him. He's very clear. And how big is that enclosure? 10 by 8 deep, 10 wide?
Actually, this is 14 feet by 8 by 8.
Okay.
So, and then we have
what is that?
This is kind of like a sitting area. I'm sorry?
What was that? Was that a pectinata?
No, actually, that's a recordi.
Okay.
The Cyclura recordi. This is one of the, obviously all Cycluras are, endangered species. I would say recordi, maybe there's, I don't know, I'm just going to throw a number out there, maybe 50 of them in the whole USA.
Okay.
And then we have the Anegada iguana, which there's only 12 in USA. He's sleeping right here, you can see.
Oh, yeah, in there. Yep.
And actually, we have, out of 12 in the USA, we have 7 of them here at Iguana Land. And it's one of the things that I'm really proud of because they come from Fort Worth Zoo, right? What happened was 35 years ago, 6 baby Cyclura penguins, which is Anegada iguana, and there's
I think we're losing Ty, and we'll give him a second. He'll be right back on. I keep seeing Jeremy Bod say to ask about Donkey Kong. I think Donkey Kong is this rhino iguana, and I've got it on my list here. Check it out, guys. Give me some topics for Ty Park. We're at the 1 hour mark, and we've been going just straight ahead. And I don't want to neglect the audience, and I certainly want to include you all in it. So if there's topics you want to ask Ty about, now's the time. And I've been keeping a little bit of a list along the way as well. Still on my list, I want to talk to him about when the time comes for a lot of owners to either surrender their animals, or the time in their life passes to where whether they got to move, whether economics, whether whatever might be, and what do we do about that? Because that's a huge. That's where a species goes from being a pet to an invasive species, and where our real hang up in the legalities of things are. So I'm interested to hear him talk about that. I'd love to know, he says he's only in the first phase of Iguana Land. And if you haven't caught on with Ty, I think he's going to deliver a whole lot more in the future when he sets his mind to it. But he says he's got 4 phases of that. So I'd like to hear more about that. And then hopefully I could pry from his, secret vault. I'd love to hear some projects that we don't know about, what he's working on that maybe he could share or that he can unveil for us. So make sure that you submit your questions there in the comments. If you're just joining, what's up, con worker 1. Ty is reconnecting. I think he's having he's been on his phone and moving throughout Iguana Land Zoo the whole time. So I think he's having some connection issues, and we're waiting for him to come back on. Let's see, proper royal stuff going on. I'm about to make a video about it because I'm going nuts. I'm still waiting on 3 clutches. They are now 37 on day 37, 35, and 33. So I'm waiting on eggs at any moment from them. And then I've still got another 5 or 6 that I'm not sure if they're going to go this year. So I'm losing my mind on number of days after shed. My first 2 clutches this year came at 35 and 42 days, respectively. And then those other 3, we'll see where they go. And then I got the 5. I don't know if they're going to reabsorb or what's going on with them. So I'm waiting to find out on them. Here is Ty again.
Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on, to tell you the truth.
That's okay. It might be that you're in the connection inside, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, we can hear you. Just can't see you now.
Yeah. It's yeah. I think
There we go.
we're back. So yeah. Anyway, and I got iguana. There's 12 in the USA. 6 of them got smuggled in 35 years ago or so, and they all went to Fort Worth Zoo. Since then, they've been trying to get these numbers up, and I believe they got the number up to 19 in 35 years, and then numbers started coming down now. There's only 12 left. So
are you breeding them at all?
I'm sorry?
Are you breeding them at all, or is that the
Well, I
goal?
just got them a year and a half ago. So
okay.
Anyway, so the director at Fort Worth Zoo, Mike, a good friend of mine, decided that, and they had all these animals different places like San Diego Zoo, Dallas Zoo, Houston Zoo, and Fort Worth Zoo, and he decided that, nobody produced any in the last 10 years. So he was kind of panicking and the numbers down. So he decided the best place for them was Iguana Land.
Wow.
So we have a lot of experience here. I mean, we produce about 700 cycloras here every year, right? And I think that's probably more than all the zoos in the U.S. combined in 10 years.
Exactly.
So, and Mike is confident enough as a zoo director, and obviously there is some zoos are going to object to that because I'm just a private person. I'm not a big, zoo like San Diego Zoo or Zoo Atlanta. I'm just a private person. But
were you able to consolidate them from all those different zoos, or those were only the Fort Worth Zoo?
That's what he did. He took he got them from other zoos, and he decided to send me 7 of them. And there's only, out of those 12, there's only 4 of them are female, and 1 has already been spaded, so she's not going to be productive. And he gave me all the 3 female that's possibly productive, but they haven't produced in the last 10.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the last ditch effort to get the number up. In
such a endangered situation, what would lead to spaying one of the females? Was there a health condition where she needed that to survive? Well,
that's a tough question, and I have like a partner in this. His name is Sean Perry. He's a veterinarian. He's a veterinarian at Mississippi Aquarium, and he also did his PhD study here at on my cycloras for 3 years.
Okay.
So I know him very well. As a matter of fact, one of my best friend who happened to be the director at Louisiana State University Vet School, Mark Mitchell. Matter of fact, I got to know him when he was going to vet school at University of Illinois Champaign-Urbana.
Okay.
He used to hang out with me at the bar and stuff like that. When I have bands on Friday, like University of Illinois Jazz Band and all these different bands to play at my bar on Friday, he would come and help me pour beer and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and we met at a fish club. Anyway, so Sean is one of his PhD students. After he got his vet degree, he decided to get his PhD degree, and he ended up being a student at LSU under Mark Mitchell. And then, of course, Mark sent him down here to do his PhD study. So So basically, he's helping me with this. He's coming down here every month, doing ultrasound on them and looking at the follicle development and on the male sperm, the testicle development, stuff like that, because that's his specialty, right? So that's what we're doing right now. And unfortunately, we're finding out of 3 females, 2 of them might not be naturally fertile, kind of thing. So, so we're looking at basically 1 animal, possible female that might produce. And it kind of depresses me, but I'm not giving up. And I also told Sean recently that I want to try everything, including hormone therapy.
Okay.
So next year we might try some hormone therapy on the 2 females that are not doing any follicle development. We got nothing to lose, right? I mean, they're not developing a follicle naturally anyway.
Right.
And I'm thinking, humans, when they're, have infertility issues, that's what they do, hormone therapy. Yep. So I suggest that to Sean and of course, director at Fort Worth Zoo, Mike, and they both agree that that's a good route to do. So that's our next step right now.
Wow. Well, I wish you well on that. No, I mean, it's so neat to look below the surface, because first there's a lot on the surface. You got your acres of animals and the beautiful murals and that, but then to hear those sorts of projects behind it is amazing.
Well, you know what? One of the things that I'm really proud of, and I didn't know this until some of the zoos, like AZA zoos, started recognizing me. And I'm just a private zoo. I don't have AZA. I don't even have ZAA, right? Yeah. But Dallas Zoo gave us plenty. I mean, they could have given those animals to anyone. And there's only like 4 zoos in the U.S. that had plenty, right? I mean, largest monitor species in Australia. And everybody wants those. They're more rare in U.S. collection than Komodo dragon, because most of the zoos have Komodo dragon. And Dallas Zoo chose us as a zoo to give those animals to. Yeah. So, and then Atlanta Zoo gave us some animals. Zoo Miami gave us animals. Palm Beach Zoo, all these AZA zoos donated animals to us. And and that made me feel like 12 years that I've been doing this and doing conservation work, it made it worth it, because it felt like that they recognized that we did something here. Exactly. And I'm really proud of that. And I didn't really know how much we did until these AZA zoos started supporting us. And that really makes me good, feel good. Well, and a lot of things are like you just do the work every day and you keep doing it. And then you look back one day and there's this beautiful empire, beautiful home that you've built behind it. And you go, man, I didn't realize I was doing all those millions of little things. But, every handshake or every student that you helped with, give them a place to do their PhD, or every, all of those things, that it all added up over time on that. Yeah, I guess it did. And I'm really grateful for the support that I'm getting. I couldn't ask for anything more. And they've given us more than we deserve. And I have so many individuals donate animals to us, and everything helped, because right now, everything come out of my pocket right now. Yeah. And a lot of people, and I've heard this complaints before, like some people saying, why is he asking for animals when he got so much money? Well, I mean, I have family obligations, right? That's right. I mean, I put in $5 million plus so far into this thing, and not doing it to make money. I'm doing it for education, and this is basically my gift to the society. And what I told you the story about dividing your life into third, right? And so basically, I stopped at the second part, but the third portion that my dad wanted me to do, or he told me, was give it away. Yeah. Do something constructive with the money that you earn and all the experiences you learn the first 2 part of your life. So basically that's 60 to 90, and that's what I'm trying to do. I really wanted to do something positive for society, and this is what I know to do, and build this zoo so that I could educate children. There's so much negativity about reptiles out there right now, and I see these kids coming in, and we pull out the animals and show it to them and stuff, and they light up.
Yeah.
And some of these kids never touched a snake before, and it might be cliche to say this, but you're not going to protect anything that you don't like or love, right? And you don't know anything about.
Especially when it's been villainized, and every myth and seems like every religion has, starts with the snakes. There's the serpent,
Right.
I mean, we're taught from, I can't say every religion. I shouldn't have said that, but you get my point. The idea of it, where culturally they're villainized from the start. Right. And lizards are only one step away from snakes and all of that, and not in reality, but in how the story goes. Tell us about your boy, Donkey Kong.
Well, we had a lot to do with why I'm working with rock iguana cyclorus. I got him as a pet literally 15 years ago, and I fell in love with him. I mean, you got to remember that every one of these iguanas, they have different personalities. Right out of the egg. I mean, I hatch out thousands and thousands of iguanas, right? So right away, literally, you could tell the personality when they hatch. Some of them are mean right out of the start. Some of them are right. Frightened, and some of them just look at you like, "Hey, I'm here," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So their personalities are all different. The thing about internet these days, everybody's expert now. The people who had 1 or 2 rhinos, now they're rhino expert. Until you had like 50 or 60 or so, literally, there are certain things you just don't know until you have worked with a bunch of them.
Yes.
Right? Yep. But like things like different personality. If you had 1 or 2, that's what you think the rhino is going to be. Right? If this rhino iguana is always flighty, you're going to tell everybody rhinos are flighty.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. But that's their experience. And they're not telling the lie, but they don't see the whole picture.
They don't know the whole thing. It was like when the Food Network started 20 years ago, suddenly everybody told me how to do my job, but they never spent a day chopping onions or never spent a day on a grill cook or run an expo. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about just because Rachel Ray tells you how to make a French fry. Get out of here,
Right. I mean, people read things and they think that's the Bible. Like one of the things that I hate is people still say that you can't give lettuce to tortoises and iguanas, and romaine lettuce is a perfect food for them. I know so many of my friends who 50% of the diet is romaine lettuce, and they produce some of the most beautiful tortoises in the world, and they've been doing it for 30-40 years, right? And I still have people say if I post something like, hey, I feed my animal leaf lettuce and romaine lettuce, and they think that I'm a devil. Right? Because they read it in the book somewhere, and I still fight that even to this day. I even had an experiment because I was so mad. I took iguanas and literally I fed them nothing but romaine lettuce for 2 years. Guess what? They were exact the same size as the one that I fed everything.
Yeah.
All right. And so romaine lettuce is perfect. I mean, another thing is, they look at all these charts, nutritional value of these animals. How does that work? I mean, that lettuce is gonna work totally different in the gut of a cow, iguana, human, or lion. You feed that to lion, it's gonna have no brief effect. All right, you feed that to iguana, there's all kind of gut bacteria in there that we don't know about that would make that lettuce totally nutritious. It had nothing to do with what that chart says that it's unnutritious, right?
Yeah.
And also, I see these things about poisonous, plants. You shouldn't be feeding this and that. Iguanas eat some of the most toxic plants in the world, in the wild, right?
Is there, and I mean this in a literal way, is there anybody that you could think of that has as much experience with iguanas as you?
I think Tom has that experience. Tom Crutchfield.
Okay.
He's been doing it for a long time. Yeah, there's other people who's been doing it, but
we're talking a handful of one or two versus some internet warrior that
well, there were some mentors that I reached out to when I was first studying Cyclura, getting heavy into Cyclura. And those are the people, and nobody actually had large numbers of Cycluras. When you say, the expert, they had maybe 10 animals, right?
Yeah.
And so Donkey Kong, when I fell in love with him, I decided this is a endangered species, and I did more research. And rock iguana themselves, Cyclura, are endangered species, and I also found out they literally make perfect pets. For me, they were like my dog. The Donkey Kong would sit on my couch, watch TV with me, and I would feed him popcorn. And don't tell people that I said that I feed him popcorn, but that's what he was. He was my buddy, right? And I felt like, why didn't I know this before? Nobody said anything to me about this before. So it just light bulb went in, blink, and I said, I want to breed this animal, this species, and I want to make them popular. I mean, back then when I was doing it, I think there was only about half a dozen to 2 dozen people actually producing maybe 10, 20, 30 animal babies a year, right? And I said to myself, I'm going to make them popular because I love it. And then I want to take the profit and help them in the wild. And that was my plan. And it actually worked. And when I started doing that, and then for a couple of years, I bought every one of the rock iguana that came on kingsnake.com. Literally, I bought everything, right?
Yeah.
And so some of the guys who's been doing it for a while, they started, saying bad things about me. Like, only thing why he's so successful is because he had money. I heard that all the time. And some of the things that I hear from them is like, he's gonna crash the market, right? And guess what? Back then, I was able to buy 20, and that's a wholesale because not many people were doing it. Rhino iguanas for $119 each, right? And retail, they were retailing for maybe $200 to $250, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the price is $400 to $600 retail, and you couldn't find them wholesale for less than $200, right? So by making them and it just, and I think I had something to do with making them popular because I produced so many of them, and in doing so, the prices went up instead of going down, right? And so more people have rock iguanas now, and I'm gonna throw out another number out there. Maybe half of them are produced by Iguana Land here, right here, right? And
King Snake was such a different era because on that you would have only been a name and a dollar sign versus your personality or your passion or a platform like YouTube can allow, or even Morph Market has a little bit more personality than King Snake did. Mm-hmm. But those days had to have been a much, much, much smaller community. I mean, that there was King Snake and one other reptile page or one other reptile magazine.
Well, now Classified and King Snake was it, I think, back then.
Yeah. And so I get lucky because some of the people that I do reach out to come on the show that I do communicate with, one of them is John from Morph Market to start. Hopefully I'll get to talk with him one evening.
Yeah, John's a nice guy.
He's incredible. I've met him personally before. He's incredible. Right. I love he buys shows at tables or tables at shows just to ask people what they want.
Right.
He's not selling anything. He just got a note and he just takes notes and he writes endlessly. He's great. I can't wait to meet him and interview him.
You know what? I agree with you. He's a very smart guy. He's a very good businessman. And he's a very good asset to our community.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Hey, I had a couple questions for you, just sort of quick fire things. Let's just say here in Florida, I'm sure there's equivalent opportunities around in other states. When the unfortunate time comes, it is a reality for people that maybe they got in too far over their head with an animal, or they get evicted, or their jobs move them, and the time comes that they need to surrender an animal. What are the best ways for reptile surrender so that there's not more animals being released and becoming invasive? What options are the best?
That's really tough. You know, the thing is, no matter how much you tell people what is the right thing to do, they're gonna be a lot of people just not gonna follow that because it's just more convenient to just release them, right?
Well,
just the lazy people.
Yeah, and look, if you got a sheriff at your door telling you you're being evicted and you got 24 hours to get out, maybe you don't have time to drive across the state. I get it. I hope nobody's in that situation. But
yeah,
barring something like that, ideally, or what would you recommend, or where would you turn people to?
Well, I mean, they could reach out to me because if it's an animal that I can't keep and I have already, I usually report them to other rescues. All right. And I try my best to find home for all the animals that people say that they can't keep anymore. All right. So I've been doing that for a while and I think I'm in a unique position to do that because I do have a lot of followers. All I need to do is, hey, I got this animal, and somebody is looking for a home for it. Usually, I could always find home for that animal.
You got 50,000 followers on Instagram, man. Yeah, that's a great platform for it. Yeah, you're right.
So I could do that, and they could reach out to me. Most of the times, it's common animals like bearded dragon, ball python, and stuff. Obviously, I don't keep those and stuff. And I say 80% of the animals that come to me go to other places, right? But I really want to do that because it's better for the environment and stuff. The funny thing is, I have so many issues here for people dumping animals outside the gate. We found
they just drop them like a baby basket at a fire station or something.
Well, we found albino boa outside the gate, and we never had albino boa, right? We never had Savannah monitor, and not back then anyway. And we found Savannah monitors around the area. We found what else did we found? 4 or 5 different species we never had. We found around perimeters, and it's really tough. I mean, when people come with animals here, like iguanas, we can't touch it obviously because it's illegal now.
Yeah, because the laws. Yeah.
Right. Or they come with like spiny toe iguana, like the black spiny toe iguana, similar. We can't really touch that either because they're always invasive, and we have enough here for display. So you have to tell them no, because especially like Tinosaurus similis that they actually caught in the wild, right? Nobody wants them because they are at that stage they are really incredibly not dangerous, but they're hard biters. They're not going to make good pets. And I literally tell them, we can't accept them. And most likely they're going to go down the street and dump them.
Yeah.
And even places like recently we have to catch a couple of Tinosaurus similis from local. Let's see, what's the name of the place? It's called Peace River Botanical and Sculpture Garden. They're about 30 minutes from us, and they found some Tinosaurus similis there. So we actually went over there, helped them trap them.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it is a problem. I mean, invasive is a problem. But having said that, let's put that in perspective. Let's talk about invasive plant in Florida. There are literally 1,000 species of plant that's not native to Florida.
Yep.
Literally you go to anybody's backyard, most of their ornamental plants are not native, right?
Lawns, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the invasive thing is more of a something that's going to continue to happen because the world is gotten closer together. All right,
And
100
faster.
years ago,
Yeah.
you're not gonna get animals from Indonesia, coming here.
Yeah.
Now with the like, especially with the huge cargo ship bringing ballast, water and lionfish going there, and then they release the water, and then we got lionfish problem. So
Yeah.
it's part of I guess human advancement with the transportation and everything. The world has gotten closer, and it's inevitable we're gonna have something like that. You get plant from Peru, Colombia, Nicaragua. There are gonna be some little animals in there, or bacteria or whatever. It's
Yep.
just inevitable.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, until humans slow down, which we're too dumb to do, we never will.
Right.
That's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
exactly. And it's just part of, we have to deal with it the best we can. And I think that biodiversity is great. But having said that, we have to be very realistic that with the way that we are moving around the world, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's an interesting point about ship's ballast. I mean, that's a moving, 20,000 gallons from all around. I mean, that's just
exactly
out, right? I never even thought of that. I mean, I'm thinking more of trucking wheel wells and the undersides of semi trucks and trains and all of that. But yeah, you're exactly right about the world's oceans, man. And that's, as we now know in this day and age, shipping containers being what they are, we know that's such a vital part of the world's commerce.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's something that's gonna continue to happen, and we just have to manage it best we can. Some of these invasive species will basically become naturalized here, and we just have to accept that. And it's
it's really heightened in South Florida. I mean,
of course.
From a biodiversity standpoint, I'm very familiar with South Florida. It is. That's a different planet from 95% of the rest of the country in that regard, particularly with reptiles. So it gets magnified there in South Florida. Are you still? And I think I know the answer to a certain degree, but I don't know specifically. So are you still in the breeding for the trade portion of breeding? Are you only breeding for conservation, or do you do both right now? Is breeding still a revenue stream that you enjoy, or are those days done?
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of a vital part of what we're doing here, because I believe in the pet market also, as long as it's done ethically, and I believe in producing pet animals for the pet market, and it really helped us also financially.
Right.
We could build more cages with them. We could. I could pay my employees more money. I don't see any negative side to breeding some of our like Tyrannosaurus, monitors, rock iguanas. Everything to me is positive. So yeah, it's a good stream income. But having said that, the expenses are pretty high, obviously. I mean, food wise, you're talking about $6,000 to $10,000 a month for food costs. Employees, obviously that's really high. Electric is about $6,000 a month. So, add things up. Our break-even points are very high. It's not easy to, keep a zoo this large, looking decent or even pristine, because literally in the summertime you have to cut grass in 12-acre at least once a week, or it become a jungle. Right?
Becomes a jungle very fast.
Every cage you have to go in there and weed and stuff, and it's a lot of work. And I mentioned this because it's my staff who does all the work, right? I mean, I try to help, and I do work, but it's really I depend on my staff to do
Of
take
course.
care of the animals, and make sure the cages are clean, and it's a lot of work when you have 2,000 plus animals, and we have 200 species, more than 200 species of reptiles now here.
Wow.
So it is largest Florida zoo. Eventually, I want to get to a point where it'll be the largest count species-wise in the world. I'm getting there. We have about 120 species of turtles and tortoises right now, and I'm building cages to house about 180 species, which is about half of all the species found in the world. Another thing that we are doing, and a lot of people don't agree with this, but since I'm going marketing this to family and kid friendly, I have no venomous here, nothing
Right.
really big and dangerous. And some people appreciate that, some people don't. And I think one of the reasons why I decided that I'm firm on that is because if you go to most of the zoos in the US, literally 80% of what you see are the venomous, like the cobras, the vipers, so, and big crocodiles and stuff. So if that's what they really love, they could find that in
I
other
see.
places,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's readily available. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And for me, I want it to be unique. I want to be able to present. I want to show people the diversity of reptiles. Um, and I want to keep pushing that button that said reptiles are harmless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, exactly.
Or
Yeah.
family friendly.
Yep.
So that's my mission. And some people say, hey, bring some mammals in, you make a lot more money. Well, first of all, they don't know my heart, because it's not about making money here.
Yeah.
It's about the reptiles. It's about educating people about reptiles. If somebody tell me that this mammal is gonna bring me more money, that's great, but that's not my mission here.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, no, and I'm a big brand guy. It's not your brand. What are you going to put a kangaroo in the
Right.
middle of the place? The hell is
Right.
that? That
Right.
doesn't
Right.
make any sense, you know?
Yeah. So that's I think some people, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's some of the complaints that I hear, but they really don't know that deep down what's happening here every day, what we go through. So I would love, and I'm talking about just 1% of the people out there, right? Be critical of what we're doing and stuff, and nitpick at negative stuff that they find in news or whatever. But you know what? I'm so thankful and grateful that literally 99% are behind what we're doing, of the people, and I go out there and I see people coming up to me and want to shake my hand, and you know what? And I see that as um, not me being famous. It's because I work with reptiles. It's the reptile that can make me famous, right?
Yeah.
So I always try to keep myself humble by, it's not me, is all these stuff that I'm working
Yeah.
with that's making me well known.
And that you get to enjoy and be a part of and surround yourself with every day. What a dream come true, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my dream was to become the zoo director, and this is beyond that. I actually own one,
Yep.
and then I'd be able to share with everybody and try to educate the kids, and every day I see kids coming in here. I had one kid coming in here once a week.
Yeah.
Since I've been open, once a week. I find her in here with her dad once a week, and you know what? That really makes me feel good.
Good.
So yeah, I'm with the challenges. I won't do anything else.
Good. Well, Ty, let's leave it there for now. I want to come and support you any chance I can. I play music in Punta Gorda a couple times a year at the Celtic Ray Public House, and so next time I'm in town on tour, I'm going to come by and come see you. And
that sounds good.
Yeah, I would love to see the facility. I've seen obviously the videos and as you built it along, and then you know, the video that I saw of where you're sitting now was when it was just the rafters. You were still looking for your muralist, and it's there.
Right.
I want to tell you, thank you so much for coming on my show. It means the world to me, and I appreciate your trust in me and sharing what you put into that facility and the love and the joy that you put into that, sharing it with myself and the audience tonight. I just can't say thanks enough. I enjoy it. Audience, I hope you check out Iguana Land. You look. I know it takes time, but you're doing something. You got 50,000 people following you on Instagram. They got to come through your doors. They got to come see you. I'm glad to hear that the tide has turned with FWC. Everybody in the audience, I'm sure you've heard of it. Please support US ARC, and if you're in Florida, please support Florida.
Yep.
The Florida US ARC, because I do believe that this is kind of the epicenter of what can come. I think in the colder states, it's going to be a little less, but so, you know, it's a scary time, and I've relocated my family here. My business is now here, and what my dream, like, I love listening to your story because I love dreaming big. And when I sit here and go on Tuesday night at almost 10 o'clock, I'm here yelling into a camera, what the hell am I doing, Adam? It's because I want to build something like this for
Adam,
my own version.
It's been my pleasure. You know, all I can say is follow your passion with everything you got.
I will. Thanks for the putting some gas in the tank on my on that dream for me. And I'm gonna come down and support you. I hope everybody can come see you. Ty, thanks so much. Sit tight for just 1 second. We'll sign off. I'm gonna hit the video. Everybody, next week, Miguel from Perfectly Engineered Reptiles. We do this show every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Ty Park, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam. Bye-bye.